As we continue looking at Daniel 1:7, let's take a look at this next set of names. We have Vala, which is and to Hananiah. So to Hananiah, the name was given Shadrach. In the Greek Septuagint, it says something like this: Keto, and to Ananiah. So to Hananiah, Shadrach. We see Wahananiah, Shadrach. First, for Hananiah, we have Hananiah, Hananiah, and then down below we have Shadrach. In the lexicon, we can see that Hananiah means the one whom Jehovah gave, which is because we have the chet, the noon, which is give, and then the Yah, which is a shortened form of Yahweh or Jehovah, which is the one that Jehovah gave. And then Shadrach. Shadrach could mean little friend of the king, or probably more likely, rejoicing in the way. And I say more likely because in the Hebrew we can clearly see the Dalet, Resh, Kaf, which is derek, which is the term for path. And then in the Syrian, right here and right here, we can see very similar to the names that we just saw. We see the Shin, Aleph, Dalet, so we have Shad, and then Resh, Aleph, and then we have Kaf, which is Shadrach. The difference between these two are in the final letters, whether it's Shadrach with that hard K sound or with closer to an H sound with the Hey. In the second case, we would have Shin, Aleph, Dalet, Resh, Aleph, and then Hey over here. From this week's Daniel reading, let's take a look at Daniel 1:7 at the ritual of being renamed when Daniel and his 3 friends were moved into Babylon. And it goes like this: Vayashem, and named Lehem them Sar, the ruler, Hasarisim, of the eunuchs, Shemot, naming them. Vayashem, and the name that is given. So here we have the names that are given to these 4 individuals. We have LaDaniel. So to Daniel, Belteshazzar, we have Belshazzar in English. Now in the Greek Septuagint, up until this section, says this: Kai, which is and, epitheken, and named atois them, ha, the archeunikos, and we can obviously see the English eunuch right there. And so the chief eunuch named them onomata, giving them the names to, which is toward Daniel, Belteshazzar, Wakbir, and the leader, Al-Hisyon, of the eunuchs, Shema, named Lakal, to all, or named all of these guys who are about to come up, named to all of them, Wachad, each one, Piham, of them, Hashem, this name. And then we see Shema, the name Daniel. Here in the orange we have the original Hebrew names, and then in the purple we have the renamings by the Babylonian king. So we have Daniel, who is then renamed into Belteshazzar. What we see here is Da, A, N, Y, A, O. And there we have Daniel, very poorly written in Syrian. And then Belshazzar. We have Ba, A, Bat, Sha, A, S, R. Today we're taking a look at Daniel chapter 1, and what we're going to see today is that Daniel and his 3 friends were 10 times wiser than all of the other astrologers and magicians. And so let's take a look here. Vakal, and in all, Devar, all these matters, Chakma, of wisdom, Bina, of understanding. So of all the matters of wisdom, of understanding, Asher, which were, Bikesh, inquired, Mahim, of them, Hamelech, by the king, Vayim Tsa'am, he found them, Eser, 10 times, Yadot, more able, all, over, call, all, Hachartumim, the magicians, Ha'ashafim, and the astrologers, Asher, that were, Bakal, in all, Malkuto, the kingdom. And the Greek Septuagint says this: K, which is and, in Panti, in all, remati, the matters Sophias of wisdom, K, and epistemes, and understanding, hon, which, ezetason, were found par about aton them by Hobasileos, the king, Uren, investigating atus decuplationes, 10 times better para than Pontus, all tus the Apoidus, which is the magician, K tus magus, which were the astrologers, tus ontas, which were in passe, all te basileia, the kingdom atu of him, which is the king. In this class, we are continuing to track the theme of wisdom through the book of Daniel. So let's take a look at Daniel 2:20. Ane answered Daniel. So Daniel answered Va'amar, saying, Lehve, to be, Shemeh, the name, of Elha, of God. So let the name of God be Mebarak, blessed, mean from Alma, from the ages, or Olam in Hebrew. Notice this is Aramaic. You can see all of the definitive markers at the end, those olives at the end, which mean the. So we can see it is from the ages, and that turn of phrase means forever. Va'ad, and until, Alma, the ages. So from the ages and until the ages, or in other words, forever. Let the name of the Lord be blessed forever. Di, of, or for, Chakmata, the wisdom, Ugborta, and you can see the root Gibor right there, same as Hebrew, this is where we get names like Gabriel from, which means strength. So wisdom and strength, di, for, le, his, he. Now that phrase, answered and said, is a very Semitic thing, happens all the time in the Gospels. Jesus answered and said to him. And that's the two terms apokrithes and apen. We have apen right here, but we don't have apokrithes here, where we would have expected apokrithes, Daniel, kai apen, and said, Eye, let be, toonoma, the name, tu theu, of God. So let it be that the name of God, eulogimenon, be blessed. And you can see the root for eulogy in English, which is a good word. Let the name of the Lord be blessed. Apo, from to ionos, from the ages, kai, heos, and until, to, the, ionos, the ages. Hati, for, he Sophia, the wisdom, kai, and he senesis, and the might, atu asten, are his. In this class, we are continuing to track the theme of wisdom through the book of Daniel. So let's take a look today at Daniel 2:48, and it says this, Edain, and then Malakat, the king, la Daniel, to Daniel, Ravi, made great. And so the king made Daniel great. Umatnan, and gave gifts, Ravravan, that were great. Sagian, and many. So he gave gifts, or many great gifts. Yehav, there's the give, le, to him. Vahash le, Yehav, there's the give, le, to him. Vahash lete, and made a ruler, all, over, kal, all, Madinat, the land, Babel, of Babel. Varav, and made a great Signin, governor, all over, called Chakimi, the wise in Babel. And here we see wise, Chakimi, right here. And the Greek Septuagint translates the previous Aramaic as this, K, and Imagilinen, and made great, Ha Basileus, the king, ton Daniel, to Daniel. And so the king made Daniel great. K, and domata, gifts, megala, great, and great gifts, kai, and pala, and many edoken were given, ato, to him, K, katestesen, and was put over, aton, him, so he was put over, epi, over, passes, all, chorus, the land, Babylonos, of Babylon, K, arkonta, and he was made into a high satropon, a high governor, epi, over Pantas, all, to Sophos, the wise in Babylonos. And here we see Sophos, the wise in Babylon. So Daniel, because of the wisdom that he's shown in seeking God, has been put in charge of all of the wise people in Babylon. In this course, we're continuing to track the theme of wisdom throughout the book of Daniel, so let's take a look at Daniel's three friends and how they exercise wisdom when faced with a fiery furnace. This comes from Daniel 3:18, and it says this: See, Daniel's three friends just claimed that God would deliver them out from the fire, and then they say this: Vahen, and if not, Yadia, we want you to know, lehva, this, lach, to you. So we want you to know this, malka. In other words, if he doesn't deliver us up, then we want you to know this. D. Leit lahak, to your gods, lo, not, eitna, we, palchin, worship. We will not worship your gods. Even if God does not deliver us up from the fire, we will not worship your gods, King. Udselem, or the idols, dehva, of gold, d, that, hakemta, you have set up, la, we will not, nisgud, worship. And the Greek Septuagint says it like this: K, and, aeon, and if, me, if not, noston, esto, we want you to know this, soy, you, Basileus, king. We want you to know, King, hoti, that, toistheus, the gods, su, that are yours, we will not, latriomen, we will not worship. K, and, te, iconi, you can see icon right here, it is the word for idol, and the idols, te, which are of krisi, of gold, he, which, estesas, you have caused to stand up, we will not, proskenomen, we will not worship. In this course, we're continuing to track the theme of wisdom throughout the book of Daniel. And last time we saw that Daniel's three friends stood up to the flames, and because of that, the king is going to say something here. Daniel 3:30, Bedayin, and then Malakat the king, Hatzlak, raised up La, which is the direct object marker here. He raised up Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, in Madinat, the land, Bavel, of Babel. And the Greek Septuagint has a pretty big additional section here, so let's take a look. Tote, and then Basileus the king, Katiuthinin, he raised up Ton, raised up the direct object marker here, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So he raised them up inte Korah, in the land Babylonos, of Babylon. And then we get this additional information here, K, which is and, exiosen, and considered atois, them, he considered them, ageste, able to lead, panton, all, ton, judeon, all the Jews, ton, that are, onton, which are, in, so all the Jews that were in Te Basileia, the kingdom, atu, of his. And so he put them over all the Jews that were in his kingdom. And why did he do this? Because of the great wisdom that they showed in sticking to their God. Throughout this course, we've been taking a look at the theme of wisdom throughout the book of Daniel. And so in Daniel 4:9, we see this. Belteshazzar. Now this is King Nebuchadnezzar talking to Daniel. And Daniel here is known as Belteshazzar. That's his Babylonian name. And so, referring to Daniel, he is the Rav, which is the great one, Chartumaya, of the magicians. He is the master of the magicians, according to Nebuchadnezzar. D, because. Now this is Nebuchadnezzar talking to Daniel. He says, D, because, ana, because I, yid'at, I know the that ruach, the spirit Elohim, of the God, kadeshin, that is holy. So the spirit of the holy God, or very famously, it could also be translated the spirits of the holy gods, or the spirit of the holy gods, bach, is in you, vakal, and all raz, all mysteries, la, are not anes. They are no trouble for you. Daniel has no trouble with these mysteries. Why? Because his wisdom is found in God, which Nebuchadnezzar acknowledges the spirit of the holy God is in Daniel. And so he says, they're not a trouble, lach, to you. Chazve, the visions, chmi, of my dreams, di, which, chazet, I have seen, u, and, fishre, and their interpretation, emar. And this is a scary final word because Nebuchadnezzar tells Daniel, not only are you to tell me what the dream is, but you also have to tell me the interpretation. And that's that word right there, tell me. And the Greek Septuagint says this, Baltasar ha'arkon. So Belshazzar here, the great ton apoidon of the magicians, hon, because ego I agnon, I know, hoti, that pneuma theou hagion. Here is the Spirit of God that is holy. So you could say the Holy Spirit of God, or probably more likely was the Aramaic, which is in the plural, the Spirit of the holy gods. Here in Greek, it is very clearly singular. We can see that with the adjective right here, hagion. It is the Spirit of the holy God, en soy, is in you. K, and pan, all, mysterion, I wonder what that word means. All the mysteries, uk, are not, adinate, unable, say, to you. We see dynamos right here, and then we have the in front of it, which makes it negative, and so we have, they are not unable for you. And so Nebuchadnezzar says, Akuson, listen to, tain the horasan, the vision, to anipnu, who, which, edon, I have seen, ke, and tain, synkrisin, the interpretation, atu, of it, epon, tell, moi, which is to me. Very interesting textual variant here. Nebuchadnezzar in the Greek actually tells Daniel the dream, whereas in the Aramaic, he tells Daniel to tell him the dream. But in either case, Daniel has come to this position to be interpreting the dreams of Nebuchadnezzar because of the wisdom he had in trusting God. In this course, we're continuing to track the theme of wisdom throughout the book of Daniel, and today we're going to see how humility has something to do with wisdom. Daniel 5:22, it says this, Va'net, but you, Bera, the son, and this is talking about how Nebuchadnezzar had not humbled himself before the Lord, and so because of that, he had to eat grass like an ox. And so Daniel says, you, the son of Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, so Belshazzar is the son, and you, Lot, you have not hashpelet, you have not humbled, leave vak, your heart, or not been humble in your heart, call, even all of this, kavel, though, so although, d, that, call, all, dana, this, yadata, you have known. And the Greek Septuagint says this, kesu, but you, hahuios, the son atu, his son. So you, his son, Balthazar, you, uk, you have not etepenasas, you have not humbled tenkardian su, your heart, katanopion, even though, who, this, panta, all, so even though all, tata, this, egnos, you have known. So far in this course, we've continued to look at the theme of wisdom throughout the book of Daniel. And today we'll see how Daniel continues to rise through the ranks in Babylon through the interpretation that's given to him by God. Udana, and this, Katavat, is the inscription, D, which Reshim was written. Mene, mene, counted, counted. Tekel, weighed, U, which is and, farsin, separated. And the Greek Septuagint says it like this. K, which is and, haute, and this, hegraphe, is the writing, he, which is, in tetagmene, which is counted, mane, counted, thekel, weighed, faris, and separated. God is going to continue to give Daniel prominence and use Daniel because of the way that Daniel is walking with God, seeking him day after day. In this course, we're continuing to track the theme of wisdom throughout the book of Daniel. And so today in Daniel 6:28, we get to see what happens as Daniel continues to walk in fear of his God. So earlier in this chapter, we see the episode of Daniel in the lion's den, and all that Daniel does is he is found early in the chapter seeking God in prayer, as was his usual custom. And the result of that was found in the lion's den when the angels shut the mouths of the lions. And so Darius, and then later Cyrus, see Daniel in high regard. And so the text reads, Vadaniel, and Daniel, Dana, this one. And so this Daniel, Hatzla, prospered, B'malkut, in the kingdom, Daryavesh, of Darius, Ube, and in Malkut, in the kingdom, Koresh, of Cyrus, Parasa, the Persians. The Greek Septuagint says this, Ke Daniel, and Daniel Kataethanen, he prospered in the Basileia, the kingdom of Dareu, of Darius, Knt, and in the Basileia, the kingdom of Kiru, of Cyrus, two which were the Persu, the Persians. In this course, we're continuing to track the theme of wisdom throughout the book of Daniel. And so today we're going to see something about the visions that Daniel receives as a result of walking with his God. And in Daniel 7:15 it says this, Ithkriyat, troubled, Ruchi, in the spirit that is mine, Ana, I, Daniel, was troubled in my spirit, or grieved in my spirit. Bago, in the presence of, Nidne, my body, Vechezve, and the visions, Reshi, of my head, Yab halunani, troubled me. In the Greek Septuagint it says this, Ephraxen, troubled, to pneumamu, in my spirit, inte, which is in the, hexi, the body, mu, my body. So I was troubled in the spirit that's in my body, ego, I, Daniel. Ke, and, he, the horaces, the visions, tes kephales, of the head, mu, my head. So the visions of my head, etarason, troubled me, which is me. In this course, we're continuing to take a look at the theme of wisdom throughout the book of Daniel. And today in Daniel chapter 8, we see the voice of a man. Here we have Kol Adam, the voice of a man instructing the angel Gabriel to tell Daniel what the interpretation of his vision is. And so what we see is right here. Wa'eshma, and I heard, call the voice Adam, of a man, Bain, in the midst of Ulai, the Ulai, Wayikra, and calling, Wayomar, saying, Gabriel, Haben, help to understand, Lahalaz, the meaning, of the Hamare, the vision. And the Greek Septuagint says this, K, which is and, Ekusa, and hearing, Phonein, the voice of Andros, a man, on a Mazon, in the middle, too, which is of Ubal. So in the middle of the Ubal, I heard the voice of a man, Ke Kolesen, and he called, Ke, and Apen said, Gabriel, Sinatison, help to understand, or help to make understood, a Kanon, this thing, which is the Horasen, the vision. I'd like to point out here that it is a firm biblical fact that true wisdom does not come from human understanding, but instead must be revealed from God. In this course, we're continuing to track the theme of wisdom throughout the book of Daniel. And so in Daniel 9:2, we're going to see that Daniel discerns the time, which is 70 years, which was given to the prophet Jeremiah from the time of the exile until the time of the return. And so Daniel 9:2 says this, Bishnat, in the year Achot, which is the first Lamalko of the reign. So in the first year of his reign, which is King Darius, Ani Daniel, I, Daniel, Binoti, I understood ba, in, or from, so we have Basrim, the writings, Misfar, the number, Hashanim, of the years, Asher, which Haya came, Davar, by the word Adonai of the Lord, El, which is to Jeremiah, Hanavia, the prophet, Lamalaot, that he would accomplish, Lachavot, the desolation or the destruction, Yerushalayim, of Jerusalem, Shiv'im, 70 Shana, years. And the Greek Septuagint says this, in Ate, in the year Heni, which is the first, Tis Basileus Atu, of his reign. Ego, I, Daniel, Seneca, I understood in Tes, or from the Viblios, the book, ton arithmon, the number, ton eton, of years, hos, that, egnethe, came, logos, by the word, Kyriou, of the Lord, pros, for, Jeremiah, ton prophetain, the prophet, es, which is, siblerosen, that he would accomplish, eremoseos, the desolation or destruction, Jerusalem, of Jerusalem, evdomikonta, 70 ete, years. In this course, we're continuing to track the theme of wisdom throughout the book of Daniel. And so today we're going to see how it was Daniel's regular practice to be before the Lord, and that this happens, the fasting that he does, takes place before the vision is revealed to him. And so it says, Bayumim, in the days, Hahem, these ones. So in those days, Ani, Daniel, I, Daniel, Haiti, I was, Mitavel, fasting, Shalosha, for 3, Shavuim, weeks, Yamim, days. Or in other words, for the entirety of 3 weeks. And the Greek Septuagint says this, Intes, in the Himeres, in the days, Akenes, these ones. In these days, Ego Daniel, I Daniel, Imain, I was, Penthon, fasting for 3, for 3, hebdomadas, weeks, Himeron, according to their days. Or in other words, I've been fasting for 3 whole weeks. In this class, we're continuing to take a look at the theme of wisdom through the book of Daniel. And so today in Daniel 11, verse 1, we see Daniel has been propped up high in the court of Darius, and he ends up having a high position with him and gets to actually advise him. And so let's take a look at our verse for today. Va'ani, and I, Bashanat, in the year Achat, the first year, La, of Daryavesh, of Darius, Hamadi, the Mede, Amdi, I stood with him, Lamachazit, to confirm, Ul Ma'oz, and to encourage, La'o, him. And the Greek Septuagint very interestingly says this, K and Ego, and I in the Te, in the year Proto, in the first year of Darius? Nope, not Darius the Mede, like what the Hebrew says. Instead, here we have Kairu, which is Cyrus. Now, there are some theories as to why the Septuagint says in the first year of Cyrus instead of Darius the Mede. Some of those theories are harmonization, which is the person who's copying thinks that it should actually say Cyrus from before. Some of them are some historical theories, because Darius is hard to identify. It's possible the scribes thought that this figure here was actually Cyrus, and that Darius is only a throne name for Cyrus. But whatever the case may be, this is a clear textual variant in the Septuagint, and ultimately, for our purposes, does not change the meaning of the text. Because Daniel is here because of the sovereignty of God and his obedience to walk in wisdom and the fear of the Lord. And because of that, whether it's Darius or Cyrus, because he gets to do this with both, we see that he is a stain. He is there to ace, which is the 2, kratos, to empower, k, and iskin, and confirm. In this course, we're continuing to look at the theme of wisdom throughout the book of Daniel. And so in Daniel 12:3, we see this. Vahamaskalim, the wise, Yazhiru, will shine, ka, as, Zohar, the lights, Harakia, in the firmament. The wise will shine like the lights of the firmament. Umatz diki, and the righteous, or those that turn to righteousness. Haravim, the great. Kakokabim, stars. They will be like the great stars. La olam, to forever. Va'ed, and evermore. The wise will shine, and those who walk in wisdom and righteousness will be like stars. And the Greek Septuagint says this, K and hoi, the senientus, the wise. Eklampsosen will shine. And we can even see something like a lamp right here in the root. They will shine. Hos as he, the lamprotes, the stars, or the things that shine, tu in the stereomatos, in the firmament. Ke and apo, and of those, ton, who dikeon, are righteous. Ton, they will be polon, great. Hos as hoi asteres, the stars, and you can almost see star right here with the sigma, tau, epsilon, and rho right there, ster, es, until, tus, the aeonas, the ages, k, and eti, even more, or in other words, forever. In the book of Daniel, we are continuing to track the theme of wisdom, and today we finish that in Daniel 12, verse 10. We see this: Isbar, purified, or islavu, purified, the islavnu, and made white, vayatsarfu, and tried. And so 3 things are going to happen. They're going to be purified, made white, and tried. And those who are going to be done that to are the ravim, many, wahir sha'u, and those who do wicked, rasha'im, are wicked, walo, and will not, yabinu, they will understand. So in other words, the wicked will do wicked things, and they will not understand, in contrast to these here who are purified and made white and tried, call, and are all rasha'im, wicked. Again, they are wicked. But here wickedness is not only contrasted with purity, but wickedness is specifically contrasted with wisdom. And we see this. Vaha, and the mashkalim, vaha mashkalim, and the wise. What will happen to those who act wisely? Yabinu, they will understand. And the Greek Septuagint says this: eklosen, taken out, okay, and ek lukanthosin, very long word, but we can see lucan here. This is made white. They will be taken out, they'd be made white, okay, and porothosin, and they will be burned with fire, or tried with fire. Here, in a good sense, as it's being contrasted to the downfall of the wicked, in some way they will be purified by fire. And those that this will happen to are poloi, many. Okay, and anamesosen, and the wicked, anomoi, are lawless, or the lawless ones do wickedly. Okay, and do not, sinesusen, understand. Pontus, all, anomoi, are wicked. They do not understand, and all of those are wicked. Now see here that not understanding is directly taken to be wicked. But see, here's what happens to the wise. K and hoi, which is the noemones, the wise, senesusen, will understand. Contrasted here to the wicked, the wise will not have their downfall. And with this we conclude our study of the book of Daniel, tracking the theme of wisdom.